one more thing.
How you doing, Dilly?
I'm all right, mate. How are you doing? Are you
I'm
good?
okay. I'm okay. We're going to find out a lot about you. We've got a little game to play, haven't we, regarding the new
Yeah.
album, which I'm really excited about. But before we talk about the war within, I
Hmm?
quickly want to kind of build up to that because this is the second album that you released in like less than 2 years, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be 18 months. It was the end of 2024. So no,
Yeah.
really, just a year, really, isn't it, in between the two
Hmm.
albums?
Yeah.
And I imagine there was a crossover point. Maybe you always knew that there was the war in peace and the war within, or maybe there was a point during the war in the war in peace,
Hmm.
which you released in December last year, where you thought, oh, where you might have had more and more personal tracks or kind of non D&B tracks. I'm
Yeah.
not too sure. Maybe like, but yeah, set the scene. Take us
So,
back to the war with it, war in peace.
so the war within was first. The war within was first. So from I think 2009 when I launched Spinal Records as a Bandcamp label, I always had it in mind that I was going to make an album called The War Within and that. But I knew that to really be able to get the most out of telling that story, I needed to live a lot more and be able to sort of be able to like summarize or consolidate or creatively like craft each point that I'm trying to make. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
Within the story. And really it was supposed to come out last year on a label that I ended up not working with anymore. No bad stuff or anything like that. Just in terms of creatively, we were in different directions and stuff, and like it didn't feel like that album itself was going to fit properly, and as a result I ended up making a lot of changes, still going to go with that name but changing what the album was originally going to be into something else, and that's what ended up being War in Peace and stuff. And then War and Peace ended up being the spark of, oh no, there's a saga here. Do you know what I mean? There's War and
yeah.
Peace where it's where the war starts to begin at home, the inner conflicts that you have with yourself, when you start to figure out, okay, something's wrong, but I can't put a finger on it. I can't put a name to it. I've not been to counseling yet. I've not been diagnosed yet. Do you know what I mean? I've not had answers that can point me in a clear direction of what's actually happening with me and stuff. And that made sense with that album, especially being a full drum and bass album rather than a multi-genre album.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot more I could get in terms of emotions out of just the instrumentals themselves. And plus, it gives people the opportunity to put themselves in the music and explore their feelings with what they're hearing and things like that. But there would be those touches on certain tracks where, okay, something is coming. Do you know what I mean? Something else is
Yeah.
following on from this. Um, and there, from there, that's why I had the idea of this being a four-part series.
Oh,
So
wow.
we've got the War in Peace, sorry, which is like the start, the War Within, which is the initial war itself, Aftermath, which will be next year's album, which is, the conclusion of things and things like that. The spoils of war, in some cases where, as much as you may have won these battles, you still fall down, which we all do in life. We still have
Oh,
our
yeah.
trip ups, we still make mistakes, we still have to deal with our pride that has brought, that in some cases has led to these like step backs and like downfalls and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, and then settle, hopefully, because again, this is going to be like based on real chapters in my life. Settle will hopefully be the point where I'm on a stronger journey of healing. I understand myself a lot more. I understand my emotions, my mind a whole lot more. And
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm reaching long life goals that I've been working towards where I can actually settle. I can actually look around and be happy with where I am and what I've built. Do you know what I mean? In the positions that I've been able to sort of grow into and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, that's the vision that I've got for these projects.
Wow. That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing that vision as well, because a lot of people, they'll keep their cards close to their chest, or they'll be, they'll lack the confidence to actually say what their vision is in that type of way. Sounds like you've got a really, really solid vision there. So before we really kind of zone in on the war within,
Yeah,
was this like an epiphany when you were thinking about these? Did it kind of come to you, or is this kind of gradually kind of developed in your head? Because I know that when we last did the interview, which was only like, a matter of weeks ago, really, with Sahela, you
yeah,
talked about Cabin Fever, the opening track. And I mean, that sat there, once you wrote it, that sat there for a couple of years before you could really look at it face on and really hear yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and hear that truth, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. And yeah, the epiphany was with War and Peace in that really, and developing that idea of it being a four-part project and expanding on the fact that it's a journey. But it was an epiphany because it made me look at my own life and recognize certain things, like compared to 2009, where I am now and how far I've actually come. Do you know what I mean? Like there's life experiences, there's ups and downs, there's triumphs, there's failures that have all led to this point in me understanding myself and being able to be a lot more secure and confident in myself compared to where I was 10 years ago. And that sort of solidified this being a journey and being able to bring people with me on this journey and it being relatable really. Like it was a moment where it was like, wow, like this is something that I can actually be proud of because I'm proud of where I am in my life. Even though I may have those
Yeah.
days where I am really depressed and I'm beating myself up over little things or even big things. Do you know what I mean? Like depression is depression, you know. But the fact that I've been able to overcome complex post-traumatic stress disorder, do you know what I mean? A lot more than where I was in 2009. All of these other things to be able to be in a position where I'm able to provide something for people rather than me chasing something, you know? The fact that
Yeah.
my whole world and my whole worldview and like chosen direction is completely different now and I'm secure in that. That was like that's what helped from that epiphany, recognizing these things and taking a step back and being like, nah, I'm doing okay. Like, no, I'm actually winning. I'm actually winning this.
Yeah.
Like, I am actually winning this war, and that's what made the war within more of a like complete project for me now. Like
No,
compared
I
to
love that.
say,
I
yeah,
love
10
that.
years ago.
And that's part of the war, really, is those moments of accepting victories and personal victories, because we're all, especially when there's a war raging on inside you, and I can completely relate to that. That you don't, and this is something my partner picks up all the time. Like, it's all right to be happy. It's all right to own that success. It's all right, you don't have to be a miserable bastard all the time, really, in summary.
Yeah,
And sometimes that's hard, when like there's so many other things getting you down, but there is that thing, and it's accepting, going, do you know what, I'm going to own that. And I think there is a lot more emphasis, although I think a lot of it is reflected narcissistically on social media, and self-love, I think, has been very mistranslated by a lot of people, or used as a
yeah.
justification to get away with some horrible behavior. But I think like actual self-acceptance and going, yeah, yeah, I'm doing okay, I'm doing okay. And
Hmm.
that's, kind of where don't stop comes in for that. For me, just looking down, like, right, come on, crack on, crack on, crack on. Don't
Yep.
like fester over something else that's really bothering you in the back of your head, which isn't relevant to whatever you need to do right at this minute,
Yeah.
and is making you stop and do nothing. Crack on and own it. And yeah, just every now and again, there are those moments where you've got to stand back and go, all
Mhm.
right, cool, that was all right, that was all right, I done all right there.
No,
But then I think like thing is how we're brought up, and the conditioning that we have as males, certainly of
yeah.
our generation, is still we were part of that kind of older generation where not to get above your station and or you get back in your box type of thing, like calm down, lad,
Hmm.
don't cry or whatever, like all of these kind of things, like like play it cool. And I think drum and bass, that kind of cool edge, and too cool for school, we've been brought up with that, like that kind of 90s where you wouldn't show too much enthusiasm or anything and try to play it cool. Like all
Yeah.
of these things come as part of not accepting it and not accepting a little victory, I think, isn't it?
No, definitely, definitely. I think so. And things like that end up creeping into other situations that are actually important. Do you know what I mean? And that, like, I won't touch on them now because, again, it's more going into like the music industry and like the differences between different genres and how they deal with like business and stuff like that. But yeah, there are those elements that creep into all parts of, do you know what I mean? The zeitgeist, so to speak, like all parts of like communities and stuff where you can't you can't do too much. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That just that simple statement of you're doing too much. You can't do too much, even though there isn't a clear threshold of what too much actually is and stuff.
Yeah.
Really, um, it's it's a mad one. It's a mad
It
one to
is.
sort of navigate really and truly. But at the same time, it's like that's why for me it's like I find more strength, even though it's scary. It's so scary, but I find more strength in being as open, as sort of protectively vulnerable as I can, especially in this world of like airbrushed images and reputation and this, that, and the third. Do you know what I'm saying? There's points where you just have to accept where you are in life. Do you know what I mean? As an example, no matter what anyone says to me, and I know I am bringing more attention to it by pointing it out when other people don't notice, but I can't stop watching my mouth because I am missing a couple of teeth. It's there. It's there. It's an insecurity of mine. It's there. I can't hide it and stuff. And I know
Yeah.
I'm the one who's looking at it more than anybody else and stuff. But these are the things that we deal with, and I'd rather be upfront and open about it. Do you know what I mean? Than try and hide it and then get hurt by somebody else bringing it up. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah. If you own it, then you control that in a way. And I'm exactly the same. And I would
mm.
imagine lots of us are. Like dental work is expensive. Like, and I was really, really proud of my silver crown, but then because it was attached to such a stumpy, horrible little thing up in my mouth, that when it come out, they couldn't put it back in. And yeah, I mean, I my
Mm.
smile has changed, and I am
Yep.
aware when I'm on camera of what side my face is on and stuff like that. So I can completely relate
Yep.
to that. Like,
Mm.
and I think you'll find like most people, they're all kind of standing there really self-conscious about their teeth. So nobody's looking at anybody else's because they're all worried about their own. We were all good during lockdown because we could have face masks on.
Yeah, yeah. But then it's like, for me, it's like again, I'm the same, like certain angles, what side of my face and stuff, because I've got one missing here and one missing there. It's like I have nowhere to hide and stuff. The more, and I'm a prominent smiler as well. Like in old
You are.
pictures, like I am big teeth smiler. When people started to say, "Oh, you're losing your smile," that really affected me. And it was like, but
Oh,
I love to smile though. Do you know what I mean? And whether it was through depression or because of like or insecurities with dental work and stuff like that, that really affected me because it really showed that like, okay, all of these things are really starting to drain on me and get me down. I need to find my smile again, regardless
yeah,
of how it is, what it is. Like I need to find my smile again because I'm a lot better when I'm smiling. In that, like so
yeah,
it's one of those things as well. Like I touch on that in like Crooked Teeth, the track Crooked Teeth, which we're going to touch on in a bit, but just relevant of this part of the conversation, like that's why I've got that track Crooked Teeth there. Do you know what I mean? To like proudly
yeah,
stand up and be like, yeah, I know what my flaws are. And what? And
yeah,
what? I'm still gonna
yeah,
do what I need to do. I'm still gonna reach where I want to reach. Nobody can stop me, crooked teeth and all.
yeah, yeah.
And
Go
what,
on.
mate?
One more thing.